Hello guys, welcome to our next playthrough that we're going to be doing for Oblivion Remastered. I used to play this a ton as a kid. I was very into it. There were a lot of quirks with the game that they have changed with the remaster, and some of those are for the better and some of those are for the worse, but we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about that as we get into the game proper, especially as I get to the point where we're building the character, and I'll break out the tables and the graphs like you know I will. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and just get started here, and thanks for joining me on this. Start a new game.
I was born 87 years ago. For 65 years, I've ruled as Tamriel's emperor. But for all these years, I've never been the ruler of my own dreams. I have seen the gates of Oblivion, beyond which no waking eye may see. Behold, in darkness, a doom sweeps the land. This is the 27th of last seed, the year of Akatosh 433. These are the closing days of the Third Era and the final hours of my life.
Alright, so here we are in the character creation screen, and man, it looks a lot different. I think I gotta throw up a picture of old Oblivion just to get a frame of reference on this, but yeah, quite different. I'll go through, look at all the races just quickly. Very nice. Alright, well, I am not going to bore you with the intricacies of character creation because I tend to take quite a bit of time on this, so I am just going to go ahead and cut ahead to when the character is finished, but I will just go ahead and put out there that we are going to be playing as a Breton. Simply just the best race for some reasons that I'll go into in just a second here once I finish the character, and we are going to be doing the Sistres origin, so I will cut to when I am finished. Alright, so here is the girl. I did mess around with it a little bit. This is about the best that I could come up with, so I will quickly just go ahead and show my sliders if you guys are interested in that. I guess we'll start with the makeup here. Just went with the dark color on the lipstick. I didn't really make it dark enough to really matter. And then the second darkest eyeshadow, because when you use the darkest, it's a little gothic for me. So this one's just a little bit softer. Didn't mess with too much here. And then for eyes, we picked the gold ones. And then I'll start from the top here. This is at the bottom. Let me just do that from the top. So here's this. And then the lip settings. And this is already starting at the top. The bridge and nostril settings. And then finally this hellion. And then I don't know. Oh yeah, I did. Okay. And then hair. We just went with this darkest one here for the roots. For the hair tip color, we went with this sort of bleach blonde look. And then we just sort of made enough gradient so that it looks like the roots are just peeking out in her hair. For the style, I went with this one. Typically, I like having longer hairs, but none of the longer hairstyles really spoke to me. I mean, you can do like that one. I guess that one's not too bad, but I like the messy bun, so that's what we're gonna go ahead and go for. And then long hair. And what should we name her? Let's go with Cirrus. So yeah, so we're doing Breton for Sistress Origin. This was the variant that gives you higher strength. In the original game, it was the male and female variants of each of the races that give you the adjustment to your stats, but Sistress gives you higher strength. High Rock gives you more speed, and I think strength for carrying weight and for certain melee weapon damage is just better in general than moving a tiny bit faster. We'll go over some of the speed calculations a little bit later on as we make the actual build for the character. But yeah, that's what we're going to go ahead and go with. Yes. So here we are in our cell. Typical Elder Scrolls game, start off as a prisoner. And then to start, we're just going to go ahead and walk up to the thing here.
Snotty expression. You're a Breton. The masters of magicka, right? You're nothing but a stuck-up harlot with cheap parlor tricks. Go ahead, try your magicka in here. Let's see you make those bars disappear. No? What's the matter? Not so powerful now, are you, Breton? You're not leaving this prison till they throw your body in the lake. Oh, that's right. You're going to die in here, Breton. You're going to die. Hey, you hear that? The guards are coming. For you.
I love it. I love his little laugh there. And then I'm quickly just going to go ahead and go over to the magic. It's kind of weird how they laid this out. All magic is like the 4th tab, but we are just going to quickly hotkey some stuff. So for now, Flare is going to be number 1, and healing is going to be number 2. And then I'll just throw Dragon Skin on there, but I always forget to use it. This is a new spell that just sort of like shows you where you're meant to go, but we can't use it because there's no path to go yet. So I'll switch over to the Flare.
I know it.
What's this prisoner doing here? This cell is supposed to be off limits.
Usual mix-up at the watch.
Never mind. Get that gate open. Stand back, prisoner. We won't hesitate to kill you if you get in our way.
No sign of pursuit, sir. Stay put,
Good.
prisoner.
Let's go. We're not out of this yet.
You. I've seen you. Let me see your face. You are the one from my dreams. Then the stars were right. And this is the day. Gods give me strength.
Good old Patrick Stewart. What's going on?
Assassins attacked my sons, and I am next. My blades are leading me out of the city along a secret escape route. By chance, the entrance to that escape route leads through your cell.
Who are you?
I am your emperor, Uriel Septim. By the grace of the gods, I serve Tamriel as her ruler. You are a citizen of Tamriel, and you too shall serve her in your own way.
Why am I in jail?
Perhaps the gods have placed you here so that we may meet. As for what you have done, it does not matter. That is not what you will be remembered for.
I go my own way.
But what path can be avoided whose end is fixed by the almighty gods?
Please, sire, we must keep moving.
Telling me I could have just hit that stone this whole time and been out of here?
Better not close this one. There's no way to open it from the other side.
Don't try anything. I'm watching.
Looks like this is your lucky day. Just stay out of our way.
Yeah, well. As we'll soon see, maybe it's a good idea that I didn't come down this way before we had an armed escort.
Do as you're told and you'll be all right.
Alright, so we'll go ahead and come over here. There's going to be some assassins, which we can just quickly exploit for a little bit of leveling. They're going to be coming from that door. Oh, just missed.
Captain's down. My sword for the dragon. I just need you pathetic world.
Okay, we leveled our range of destruction. That's about as much as we could expect from that first little scuffle. And check these guys for some potions. These are just clothing. They don't provide any armor and they weigh a good amount, so we're not going to be taking any of those.
Captain Reno, she's...
So we'll take the katana,
Dead.
but it is going to get taken from us at the end of the tutorial. It's cool though. I like the katana. Looks good. Short sword. Not bad. Yeah, we'll just use this because it's a little bit stronger at this current issue, or this current junction rather.
How could they be waiting for us here?
Don't know, but it's too late to go back now. Don't worry, sire. We will get you out of here.
They won't be the first to underestimate the Blades. I'll take point. Let's move.
You stay here, prisoner. Don't try to follow us.
Yeah. Oh, as a point of housekeeping, I am going to be playing this on Adept. Alright, a little bit of a soapbox moment here. I'll put a timestamp if you want to skip this, but I'm going to be playing this on Adept primarily. Once we get a little bit stronger and we have good enchantments and spells and that sort of thing, I'll probably bump it up to Expert. So the way that the difficulty works in this game is that Adept, you deal regular damage and enemies deal regular damage. On Expert, you deal 3.5 times less damage, so all of your damage is divided by 3.5, and all of the enemy's damage is multiplied by 3.5. And on Master, it's times 6 taken and times 6 dealt. So especially in the early game, it's not that Master is impossible, it's not that it's even necessarily really that hard if you know what you're doing. It's just such a slog. Enemies become such health sponges, and I honestly don't think that it's interesting to watch or to play. Me wailing on a rat for 2.5 minutes just to satisfy some type of urge to be on the hardest difficulty, quote unquote, is not really appealing to me. I'd rather just, get through and do something interesting. So we're just going to be on Adept. The game is very easy, even on the classic version of the game back in 2006 for the first couple of levels, and then it does scale up in difficulty as you start seeing new creature types. And once we make the switch, I will go ahead and let you guys know. But we're just going to be doing that for right now. Once we get into the build section, I'll talk a little bit more about the difficulty, but that was just the short little tirade right there. So we are going to confirm. There's going to be some rats that break through the wall here. Oh. Alright. Rats have always been easy to deal with. So we got one more over there. And that's enough to take him out. Some gold. We're not going to be using blunt weapons. We are going to be using blades. So I will equip this shield, even though I am planning on using heavy armor. So we'll just take this stuff. I will take the dagger. and I am going to be using primarily daggers for the weapons this run for a couple of reasons. So let me just quickly pull out the damage formula. Okay, so excuse the noises of Oblivion in the background. I just have it running down here in its own tab while I go over this. So this is the damage formula. If you look on the UASP page, it has it outlined right here. It's also outlined in the damage calculation. So basically, the formula is just you take half of the base damage, which is just the weapon's damage that's listed for each type of the weapon that scales based on the quality and type of weapon that it is. You take a portion of your attribute. So for daggers and short swords, that's going to be agility, and for everything else, it's going to be strength. And you take a portion of your skill, which is either blades for daggers, short swords, long swords, and claymores, or blunt for war axes, battle axes, and the various types of hammers. So the reason that I am going to be going daggers, excuse that, it went back. The reason that I'm going to be going with daggers is, so basically, little spoiler, we're going to be going for combat specialization, and we are going to be going for blades on this run, on the class, once we pick all of that. So as you can see here, I have a couple of different weapons and their derivative damages. So the Rusty Iron Dagger is going to at 30 agility, which is what we start with, and 30 blade, which is what we will have as soon as we pick blade as a major skill and have the combat specialization. It does 1.46 damage. Yeah, it doesn't show on the it doesn't show decimals in the game, so 1.46 damage rounds down to 1, which is why when we have our thing here, it shows 1 damage. Iron short swords have a little bit higher base damage, long swords have a little bit higher base damage, and I should put a row up here just so that we see that there's a delineation, because these are the types of weapons that you have at the start of the game. So you can see the base damage of a dagger is 5 less than the equivalent level of a longsword, and that lasts through the entire game, all the way up into Daedric. So it comparatively, daggers close the gap as you get further and further on into the game. Additionally, the blade skill itself makes a much bigger difference in your total damage than the governed attribute, so strength for long swords and agility for daggers. So if I had 100 agility right now, you'll see it goes up about half a point to 2 damage. So let me just set this back to 30. If I had, oh my goodness, I'm messing up here. If I had 100 blade instead, goes up to nearly 4 damage. So it's way more important to have higher skill than it is to have high attribute. I only say this because I may not rush exactly for 100 agility right off the bat, because it doesn't make that much of a difference. Upgrading your base damage and your blade skill itself is way more important to the total damage number. Eventually, we're also going to get Armorer up, and one of the perks of Armorer is that you can increase your weapon's durability to 125% of its base value, which does also factor in to the damage calculations. So not a ton, but it does. So that is also something that we're going to be doing. So at the beginning of the game, with the stats as they are, it is nearly double damage, or actually it's a little bit more than double damage using a longsword versus a dagger. But near the end of the game, that gap closes considerably. If you see a Daedric dagger with the same stats and stuff, it will be 5 damage, where a Daedric longsword is only 7.5. Obviously, it won't be this way, so let's just 100 out everything. And you'll see it's a difference from 20 to 25. So it is not that different of a damage. It's about what is that, 20% damage increase for a dagger versus a longsword. The other thing to keep in mind, though, is that daggers have a speed of 0.75, while longswords have a speed of 0.5. So it is about, what is that math? 25% slower? 50% slower? 33, I think it's 33% slower. So 33% slower does not make up for the 20% damage loss. So in pure terms of DPR, daggers are going to DPR. You can see I'm a D&D nerd. DPS, so damage per second, daggers are just going to come out ahead if you're able to keep swinging. The other thing to keep in mind is the way that enemies sort of attack, which is going to be better illustrated once I get into the actual gameplay. Sort of the cycle that you go through is that you block, causes the enemy to stagger, and then you get a couple of hits in as they are recovering from their stagger. Daggers, because of their faster attack speed and the fact that they attack in chains of 4 instead of chains of 2, are able to usually get a third swing in where longswords aren't. Even short swords, which have a similar speed, though they are a little bit slower, it is a little dicey trying to get in that third swing. So for that reason, it increases your damage even a little bit more. But the final reason, and the most important reason, is that all of these numbers are insignificant. The way that they have done it in the remaster is that they have completely removed, where is it? Hold on, let me quickly, right here. So fatigue used to be a factor in how much damage you did in the original game. So if you had 100 fatigue normally, and you buffed that to 300 fatigue using magic or potions or what have you, that would increase your damage. So that was a way that you were able to scale the weapon's damage past these maximum, well, technically, past these maximums that you see here. Because you'll quickly see that 22 and 28 damage is not very much. So that was a way to increase the physical damage portion. So the way that you increase it now, the only way left really, is with enchantments. Enchantments apply on every swing of the weapon. So daggers attacking faster is going to apply the enchantment more. So it's more damage coming out of the dagger. All this to say, daggers do a lot more damage. That's the plain and short of it. They attack a lot faster, they apply more enchantments, and they're going to do the most damage because they're able to get more swings into the opportunity windows that you have. I'll put another timestamp so you don't have to watch all this if you don't want to, because that was a way long rant that was kind of rambling for the TLDR. Daggers do more damage in the course of gameplay. So we're going to be going with daggers. And that means that we are going to be prioritizing agility over strength, though there may be times that we increase strength rather than agility just for the carry weight, which is just a convenience thing. And I think that it's, if we forego putting points in agility so that we can get more points of carrying stuff for gear, as I already showed, like, it doesn't change the damage that much. I'm willing to make that trade for convenience. So let us continue on here. Okay, so the lockpicking minigame, I'm sure there are 100 billion tutorials on YouTube on how to do this, but basically you just want to hit the set tumbler button, whatever that is for you on your console or your PC, when the tumbler is at the very top of the lock. So this is a tutorial one, so it's always very slow. When we get into the actual game, we'll see more locks with varying speeds and having more of the pins dropped, but you just want to hit it when it is at the top. One trick you can do is, if it's at a speed that you like, you can keep on hitting the raise tumbler button, or just hold it down and it'll keep it nearly at the top. And so that makes it a lot easier to capitalize on it being at the top. Very, very simple. I think they made that even a little bit easier in the remaster. I'm not going to use a bow. Bows are useful for reasons that we will talk about a little later on, but I don't want to use a bow. I think we're going to be fine. Okay, we'll grab a couple of these, and we don't need the club. And then grab the rat meat. And let's continue. Okay, we got another rat. That's another thing about Oblivion versus Skyrim. Like, if you've played that, in Skyrim you have to have magic in one hand. As you can see, I have the shield and I have the dagger in my right hand, but I'm still able to cast spells. So that is just a nice quality of life thing, I guess. Okay, so we finally have some heavy armor. We are going to be wearing heavy armor. I guess I'll quickly go over that as well. Heavy armor just provides a lot more armor than light armor does. I'm only using the light armor shield right now because having a shield is important for block values. But yeah, heavy armor just provides a lot more damage protection. If we look over here at the heavy armor, so heavy armor starts degrading slower. I think that's actually the initial perks for both of them. Yeah, they just degrade much slower. So, heavy armor, as you level it up, just becomes lighter because it already has the damage protection, whereas light armor becomes, I mean, it also becomes lighter, but it becomes stronger. It gives you more protections, but only at the 100th point. So from 1 to 99, heavy armor is going to provide much more damage protection. Now the trade-off is that it usually weighs a lot more, but I think we can build around that. There are going to be some spells that we can manage this a little bit more effectively later, but throughout the leveling experience, especially because armor is deceptively difficult to level up, just having the more damage protection from heavy armor is important. We might be doing some sneak quests later on, and I don't need any of this stuff. We might be doing some sneak quests later on, and for those portions, if we don't have another alternative, I am just going to take off the boots, because kind of like Skyrim, that's the only portion of the thing that matters as far as detection goes. But once you get to the 100 points of heavy armor, it doesn't weigh anything, then you're just as sneaky in heavy armor as you would be in light armor. So we got some rats up here. Okay, so here's kind of what I was talking about with the openings that the enemies give you. So when this zombie goes to attack me, I'm going to let him hit the shield. See, he kind of rebuffs off that. So I was able to get 3. I probably could have gotten 4 of the dagger swings in there, but I was able to get 3. And zombies are a slow attacking enemy. So if I didn't have a dagger, I maybe would have only had the space for 2 or 3. Yeah, I probably couldn't get 4 in there. There we go. We don't need the bone or the skull. They just weigh you down. But especially early, we definitely want to be leveling up our blade for that extra damage from the skill. So any little bit that we can is very useful. And I probably should not even be shooting these rats with my spell. Okay. Just barely are able to sneak the 4th swing in there with the dagger. I definitely would not be able to get another swing in there without being hit if I didn't have the dagger, if I was using a heavier weapon. So that's also another little demonstration of it. But oh, hello, rat. Okay, at some point Yeah, if I could just like attract one of you. Okay. No dice. Another thing that you can do, especially early on, is to just dodge enemy attacks. So it's a little janky, but they kind of attack in straight jumping lines. So if you keep on just sort of sidestepping, you can dodge like most of their damage. That becomes less able to be done as you progress through the game. Plus, it's just leveling up block is useful. So might as well just let him hit us for now. There are some alchemy ingredients here. So we got lettuce, cheese wedge, tomato. We got our helmet and our heavy shield, which is very nice. Now we can drop that iron shield. We don't need it. And there's also a warhammer here, but I'm obviously not going to be using a warhammer because that's just all of the problems with the longsword, except that it is blunt and it is also even slower. So here we've got an actual tumbler. So as you can see, sometimes it's a lot slower than other times. So you just wait for when it's one of these slow ones, and then you can kind of time it for when it's at the top. And it's pretty simple. And by doing it that way, it's almost impossible to fail, really. Just take your time, focus on it, and it's pretty easy. Like I said, I think they made it a little bit easier in the remaster than it was in Classic. Get our 2 cents. Little rat. Another thing to note is that even though the iron shield... Okay, I should probably have mentioned that while we had the leather shield in our inventory. Okay, so even though the leather shield only provides 2 armor and the iron shield provides 4, when you're blocking, you take the same amount of reduced damage. Kind of. So if I had 100 block skill, it would reduce all damage taken. So as long as I had the fatigue to maintain blocking, I would take no damage from physical attacks with any type of shield, whether it was that rough leather shield or if it was a Daedric shield. What the shield does is it provides extra points of armor. So I have 9 armor right now, which is 9% reduction in all damage that I take, and the armor cap is 85. So wearing heavy armor, if you're using a shield with Daedric and all of your gear over leveled or over repaired to 125% durability, you can hit the armor cap without any enchantments, which is pretty nice. But yeah, once we get to 100 block, if we ever get there, honestly, it's kind of a pain in the ass to level. Then it won't really matter what shield we have other than just the base armor rating. That only comes into play if you don't have 100 skill, and so a portion of the damage gets through, or if you just didn't bring it up to block in time. So there are going to be some wisp stocks here, which we are going to grab. They are a good ingredient for... Oh, I did not realize you were a rat. For damage health, wisp stocks do provide that, and then these are good for restore health potions. Just take all that. Silver goblet, sure, why not? Potions there. I did see another rat over here in the distance, so you're not going to surprise me, sir. Go ahead. Not too bad. And... was that 3? I think it was 3. The Stinkhorn also is damage health, so we can make some poisons with that. I think there's only 3 with stocks. I think there are some on this little table that appears up here. Okay, don't care about folded cloth. The cheese wheels weigh so much. I guess I'll take it until we need to drop something. But that's definitely getting dropped if we need to. Alright, Goblin. Come on. Hit me. Alright, so there was a good example of how I was barely able to get that third attack in and get my shield up. you aren't able to do that with the heavier weapon. So another example of how daggers have practically more DPS. So yes, there is the fourth one here. We have a potion or a poison right there as well. I think we're good on the rat meat. I think at this point it is enough. So I'll quickly go over alchemy. So I don't like the sorting of this. I haven't found a good way of putting your apparatuses at the top, which is how it used to be in Classic, which I prefer, but it is what it is. So what you can do is you can make potions based on ingredients that have similar effects. So as you can see, restore fatigue is the first effect for all food. So we can make potions by combining those items. And then it has like this little filter system, which is kind of cool. And then damage fatigue can be made with the rat meat and the mort flesh. And damage health can be made with the wisp stalks and the stinkhorn caps. So, quick diatribe on poisons. So poisons, for whatever reason, don't count as you applying them. You, your character, are not the source of the poison damage. So poisons are a way to ignore the difficulty scaling. So remember how I had mentioned that on master difficulty, you deal 6 times less damage? Well, poisons ignore that entirely. So while on master, which I'll just go ahead and demonstrate here. So let me just apply the poison on the dagger, and I will turn this up to master just for this. There's a goblin in the next room, so I'm gonna go ahead and block because he's about to kill me, because he's gonna do a ton of damage being on master. See his health going down like that? Yeah, that was... Oh, I should have made a quick save. Let me see, what was my last save? Okay, I'll just do it with the next goblin. I'll show trying to kill a goblin on master without the poisons there. So let me quick save here really quick, and we'll get these goblins to run up at me, hopefully. Okay, there's a pair of them. Okay. So without poisons, this is what you have to deal with. So not only do they just about 3-shot you, even when you're using a block, you will take about 30 swings to finally kill one. So my difficulties with master difficulty expand because basically the strategies, there are 4 strategies for dealing with master. One is poisons, like I just showed you. Another is using conjuration, like summon spells, which follow the same logic. They aren't originating from you, so they aren't affected by the damage scaling. Another is weakness stacking with magic, which we'll explain in a future video once we start having access to spell making. And the fourth is to suffer, and I don't like any of those alternatives except for weakness stacking to a point. And we'll go over that once we start making spells. To a point. At a certain point, it gets so ridiculous you can one-shot any enemy in the game, and I don't know, I feel like it detracts. So let me quickly just put this back on Adept. I'll apply the changes. And then we'll do this next encounter how you were actually meant to do it, of just pushing the logs down to kill them. Okay. We'll grab these. We don't need the war axe. It's heavy and it's not very valuable. Ooh. I got cocky there. Oh, that's not what I want to do. I just want to take everything. Some more potions. Okay, so here in this big cavern there are 4 goblins. There's one right there. There's one down in the pit. There's one over here off to the side by a cooking fire. And then there is the goblin shaman with a staff further out there. I don't know how that goblin didn't... Okay, that's not ideal. Oof. Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and back off real quick because my fatigue is low. That's the major reason. The health is not as important. Alright. Very nice. I don't care about your knife. And you have a leather shield. But we did also pick up a iron dagger instead of a rusty iron dagger. I think the only difference is that sells better, because this is a special iron dagger in that it does more damage than other rusty iron daggers that you can find out in the world, because that's the tutorial one. So we'll probably just, I mean, if we have the carry weight for it, which we probably won't, then we'll just end up selling this, because the rusty iron dagger is just as good for the meantime. Okay, I don't care about your rat meat. Alright. Monsieur. Oh, it was that guy. Okay, there we go. Yes, you come to me. Very nice, sir. Thank you for the duel. Those rats in there you can kill as well. You can also pull that stone right there to cause them to attack the goblins, but like I said, we want the skill XP. So there is the goblin boss right there for this little tutorial area. Okay. I think back here. Yes, repair hammer. And the longsword is too heavy to make it valuable. So we're just going to go ahead and so he has this like lightning staff, which if you're not dodging around can do quite a bit of damage. Not so much to us because we're a Breton, and Bretons start with 50% resistance to magicka, as well as just having 50 more points of magicka than most races. So it wouldn't have done quite as much damage as it would to other enemies, but just dodging it is going to be better because you can't like block magic like that. I just forgot to hit the key there. All right, and we'll just take all of that. I do want to go ahead and hotkey the repair hammers. So you can just press the thing and bring up this interface. So you level armor by just repairing equipment, and your equipment goes down in effectiveness as it becomes lower and lower health. So the most damage is the dagger, but it's already got a base damage of 1, so it's not like it's actually losing very much damage. So we're going to try to repair our armor, and Ed did break both of our repair hammers. So every repair hammer that you use, there's a chance based on your armor or skill that it will break when you are repairing gear. And I think the chance goes up the healthier the item is, or maybe it just takes more hits to repair as it gets more health. But anyway, when we have a low armor skill like this, it is going to break fairly quickly. So we are out of them, but it did increase our armor skill 3 levels, I believe. We're just going to go down here, get some more blade leveling, and we're not going to take the rat meat. And that is it for the actual solo fighting part of the dungeon. So not too shabby. And I think, yep, there's a chest right here. And I'm only picking up the arrows because they have a good value to weight ratio, meaning that they're light, but sell for a relatively high cost.
Protect the Emperor until help arrives.
Alright,
Help? What makes you think help will get here before more?
come here, assassins.
Come again!
To get the Emperor out of here.
Take them down!
No potions for me.
For
This
the
one's
Emperor!
Damn it, it's that prisoner again. Kill her. She might be working with the assassins.
No, she is not one of them. She
Yeah.
can help us. She must help us.
You tell him, Patrick
They
Stewart.
cannot understand why I trust you. They've not seen what I've seen. How can I explain? Listen, you know the Nine, how they guide our fates with an invisible hand.
Well, you know, the 8 really. I don't want to get into the whole Tiber Septim debate. I don't think about
I've
it.
served the Nine all my days, and I chart my course by the cycles of the heavens. The skies are marked with numberless sparks, each a fire, and every one a sign. I know these stars well, and I wonder, which sign marked your birth?
Okay, so birth signs can be divided into 3 broad categories. One are birth signs that provide, let's just use the warrior for example, attribute bonuses. So the warrior for example provides 10 points of endurance and 10 points of strength. The second type are the kind that provide magicka bonuses. So mage very simply provides 50 points of extra magicka for your total. And the final type is the one that provides powers greater and lesser. Or just miscellaneous bonuses, I will say, because the Lord was reworked to be a little bit different than it was in Classic. Generally, I feel like attribute bonuses are not very good. It's very easy to level in this game, especially with the reworked level system, and eventually your attributes are going to be 100, so by late game, this doesn't matter. The only one that I would consider is the Thief, because it increases your luck by 10 points, and what luck does is it provides 40% of its value above 50 as an invisible bonus to all skills. So by starting with this 10 points of luck, you will have 4 additional points to all of your skills. So our blade is 12, I think. If we had this one, then it would be 16. So if you want to go a full luck build, that's not terrible. But luck becomes less and less valuable as you go on as well, because you can't have skills above 100, or you can rather, but you don't get any benefit for them being over 100. So it becomes less and less valuable as the game goes on, because you're going to be getting all the skills you care about to 100, and then luck doesn't do anything anymore. And then the final type is I only went over the attribute ones. Magicka, always very useful. Magicka, generally races start out with, I think it's double your intelligence in Magicka pool. So Bretons start off with 50 points of intelligence, so they have 100 base magicka. Their race gives them 50 more points, so that's 150 magicka. And depending on the choice you make in Birthsign, you can have up to 300 magicka or 350 starting magicka if you are a high elf, with some associated negatives. And then finally, you have the ones that have the miscellaneous bonuses. Generally, these greater powers are not very strong. They don't really provide as good of powers as you can get with spells later on, so they also just become quickly obsolete. So that basically leaves you with the magicka ones, these 3 magicka ones, and the Lord. If you're playing on Master difficulty, this is your birth sign, pretty much universally. 15 points of armor, especially in the early game, is huge. As you can see, we picked all heavy armor, and I think we have 9 armor right now. This more than doubles it. This will give you staying power. And especially if you're a race that doesn't have magic resist, this provides magic resist as well. If you're not a Breton, then you need several enchanted items in order to get to 100% resist magic. Bretons only need one, but that comes far later in the game. But this is a way that you can just really beef up your defenses and cause you to be good for Master. So this is the one I would almost always recommend if you are dead set on playing on Master. We are going to take a Magicka bonus though. So Mage is the simplest, it just gives you 50 points with no downside. Apprentice gives you 100 points, so it's double the bonus, but you are 100% weak to magic, so that's a little rough. And it would completely nullify our innate magic resistance and make us weak instead, at least by 50%. So we would take 150% damage from any spell cast that come our way. And then the Atronach, some people love this one. It gives you the most base magicka, and it gives you 50% spell absorption, so every time you're hit, there's a 50-50 chance of you just absorbing all of the spell and getting its base cost of magicka back. But it does have stunted magicka, which, here, there we go. Stunted magicka means your magic doesn't naturally regenerate, so you have to use potions or Welkin stones or some type of weird custom spell in order to regenerate your magic, and that's just a huge inconvenience, especially in the early game, that I just don't really want to deal with. You can be very strong with the Atronach, but it's really finicky, and I just personally don't think it's fun. If you like it, all the power to you, but I don't personally think that it's fun. It's inconvenient, and a big part of fun in these games is the convenience factor. So I'm just going to go with the Mage. Like I said, the Lord is always very useful, especially on the higher difficulties, but just having more magic is a nice compliment.
The signs I read show the end of my path. My death, a necessary end, will come when it will come.
What about me?
Your stars are not mine. Today the Mage shall light your way on the paths of glory.
Aren't you afraid to die?
No trophies of my triumphs precede me, but I have lived well, and my ghost shall rest easy. Men are but flesh and blood. They know their doom, but not the hour. In this, I am blessed to see the hour of my death, to face my apportioned fate, then fall.
Can you see my fate?
My dreams grant me no opinions of success. Their compass ventures not beyond the doors of death, but in your face I behold the sun's companion. The dawn of Akatosh's bright glory may banish the coming darkness. With such hope, and with the promise of your aid, my heart must be satisfied.
Where are we going?
I go to my grave. A tongue shriller than all the music calls me. You shall follow me yet for a while. Then we must part.
Alright, you got it.
You may as well make yourself useful here. Carry this torch and stick close.
Sure, Boris. I'm definitely not going to do that. Okay. So we got another chest right here, and then some enemies that we can come and... Oh, that was the wrong one.
Show me what the best you can do.
Alright. Not bad. Get a couple of potions off them, hopefully. And we'll just heal up to increase restoration. You do naturally regenerate health out of combat, but like I said, leveling skills is very useful. Magic works a little bit different than physical skills do, but I'll go into that a little bit later when we actually have the ability to raise our magic skills manually with our class. Some potions, thank you.
Hold up. I don't like this. Let me take a look.
I love the way that he says that. It's like so... It almost feels like they patched together multiple voice lines because, like, I don't know. Personally, if I was to say that, I would say, let me take a look. So the emphasis would be on look. But I think his emphasis is on take, which just sounds really weird. It's always made me laugh. I'm such a nerd.
What about that side passage back there?
Worth a try. Let's go.
I mean, all love to all of the voice actors that helped make this game, but Glenroy is definitely among the cheesier ones.
It's a dead end. What's your call, sir?
They're behind us. Wait here, sire.
Wait here with the Emperor. Guard him with your life. Oblivion
This
for
one's
the
on.
Emperor!
One thing you can do here is, as long as you stand in this little hallway, the Mythic Dawn members will keep spawning, because there is a scripted event that happens when you are close to the Emperor over there. So if you want to get more potions, and to, with a little glitch because of how it works, get a Akaviri katana from Boris, you can just keep standing here and keep spawning them infinitely, because Boris will eventually take them all out. But that's a little cheesy, and I don't really want to do it, so.
I can go no further. You alone must stand against the Prince of Destruction and his mortal servants. He must not have the Amulet of Kings. Take the amulet, give it to Joffrey. He alone knows where to find my last son. Find him, and close shut the jaws of Oblivion.
Hey, cheers, mate.
Stranger, you chose a bad day to
I just talked about how Glenroy is one of the cheesier voice actors. That's got to be one of the worst delivered lines in Oblivion. Just Boris, no. I love it though. All right, I'm just gonna quickly check these guys to make sure that if they have any potions or not. You can pick up Glenroy's katana as well. Both of them, both Reynolds and Glenroy's, do get taken from you by Boris, but yeah.
We failed. I failed. The Blades are sworn to protect the Emperor. Now he and all his heirs are dead. The amulet. Where's the Amulet of Kings? It wasn't on the Emperor's body.
The Emperor gave it to me.
Strange. He saw something in you.
I love Boris just accept that. He's just like, all
They say
right.
it's the dragon blood that flows through the veins of every septim. They see more than lesser men. The Amulet of Kings is a sacred symbol of the Empire. Most people think of the red dragon crown, but that's just jewelry. The amulet has power. Only a true heir of the blood can wear it, they say. He must have given it to you for a reason. Did he say why?
I must give it to Joffrey.
Joffrey? He said that? Why?
One thing I've noticed in the remaster is, like, it looks like the NPCs are, like, looking above your right shoulder for whatever reason, based on where their eye placement is. It's a little weird. There's another heir.
Nothing I ever heard about. But Joffrey would be the one to know. He's the Grand Master of my order. Although you may not think so to meet him, he lives quietly as a monk at Waynon Priory, near the city of Coral.
How do I get there?
First, you need to get out of here. Through that door must be the entrance to the sewers, past the locked gate. That's where we were heading. It's a secret way out of the Imperial City. Or it was supposed to be secret. Here, you'll need this key for the last door into the sewers.
The sewers?
There are rats and goblins down there. But from what I've seen of you, I'm guessing you're an experienced knight. Am I right?
Not quite. So, this is your class. It is very intimidating on the look of it. And I'll kind of walk you through it. So there are three sort of stepping stones for making your class. You have your specialization, your favorite attributes, and your major skills. Based on how you've played throughout the tutorial so far, I don't know why I said the Boris will recommend a custom class for how you've been playing so far. As a general rule, the custom or the standard classes are shit. Like, this knight is one of the better ones. Actually, Crusader is probably one of the better ones, but even it has like useless skills, like having blade and blunt. You don't need both blade and blunt, and that's generally the through line. I would say if you really don't care about making your own class, you don't want to deal with it, Spell Sword is going to be your best one. It's got blade, block, destruction, heavy armor, illusion, restoration, alteration. It's going to be very close to what we're going with. And I think that's just far and away the strongest standard class. But we're going to do a custom class. Magic skills now in the remaster level based on how much base magic it costs to cast each spell. So if you cost a really expensive spell, it levels you a lot more than costing a really cheap spell. For that reason, especially with spell making, it's actually really easy to level magic skills, whereas in a original Oblivion, it was based on number of casts, so I would generally recommend starting with magic specialization. But because we aren't going pure mage, there is going to be some skills that we are going to want leveled highly that are not magical skills. I'm going to go with combat. So we're going to go with combat. And these are just the skills that were in the 3 brackets on the original class charts, which we'll see again once we get to the major skills. But we're going to be taking combat and magic skills. I'm not taking any stealth skills, I don't think. So we took combat. Another thing that's different in the remaster is that intelligence has always determined your maximum amount of magicka, but in the original Oblivion, your maximum amount of magicka determined, at least in part, your magicka regen. Now it doesn't. You could have 1 billion max magicka and it wouldn't change your regen speed at all. Now it's just dependent on willpower. I think that's it. Yeah, it's just dependent on willpower. So willpower is an attribute that you get far more from when you have a lot of it. So it has like greatly ramping returns. It's exponential in its growth rate. So at 50 willpower, I don't even remember how much it is. I'll put the stats up on the screen here so you can see. But at 50 willpower, you get a base amount. Once you get it up to 100, it becomes quite a bit more. If you have spells or potions that can get you up to 200, it becomes quite a bit more, and up and up and up and up as you manage to get more and more and more willpower. So willpower is definitely one that we're going to be leveling up first because we already have the bonus from Mage and Breton, so I don't think that having intelligence is going to be quite as good, or quite as needed, I should say. And then I would say that's the only mandatory one. Honestly, having more intelligence is always nice. Strength for more carry weight, even if we're not using it for damage. Agility for more damage from our dagger, and then increasing maximum fatigue and how quickly you regenerate fatigue. So I'm probably going to go with agility. Speed determines how fast you move, but speed is also affected by your worn armor and carried weapons. So us wearing heavy armor, we're going to be moving a lot slower than somebody wearing no or light armor. And we're going to have a spell to alleviate that later on. Endurance is just your maximum health and how much you regenerate. So if you were going to be playing this on Master, I probably would level willpower and endurance. Personality is crap. Don't ever get personality. It's just not needed. I think it dictates how high you can get the maximum disposition for people using Speechcraft, but you can completely avoid that minigame by just casting a charm spell on people and getting their disposition up to 100. And then luck, I've already mentioned, we're giving a 5-point bonus. If you are going all into luck, I would pick the thief Birthsign and luck as a favorite attribute. So both of those together can be pretty nice. That is, what is it? It's like 6 points to all of your skills, so that's not bad. But we're going to go with willpower and agility. And as far as the skills, I don't care about any of the stealth skills. Alchemy already levels really fast, and it's kind of annoying, honestly. Like, it is very strong, don't get me wrong. Alchemy is one of the strongest skills in the game, and if you want to be as powerful as you can, I would definitely pick it. But I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not to pick it. I do want to get Alteration for Feather primarily, and also to a lesser extent Shield. Destruction is needed to do damage at higher levels. Restoration to not just heal, but to boost our other stats. This is like the boosting school. And then we're going to do Blade, of course. We're going to do Heavy Armor. And I got 2 more. So I can either go with Block and Armor, or I can grab Alchemy. Starting with 25 points in armor means that we can repair magic items right away, which is very nice. And Block just gets a ton more useful the more you have of it. So, okay. I'm going to go with Block and Alchemy. I think there's an argument to be made for armor, but we'll buy a bunch of repair hammers and work our skill up from there. I did think about it, and at the last levels of Alchemy do take quite a few potions, so the increase, I think it's like 14% or whatever increase to skill gains that you get for having this, as well as the plus 20 bonus, is going to make this level a lot faster, and it's probably a skill that we're going to want at 100, so yeah, this is going to be our class right here. And we're just going to call this the Justicar. So combat specialization for plus 5 to all of these skills right here, and they level faster. Agility and willpower, and then alchemy, alteration, blade, block, destruction, heavy armor, and restoration. And I didn't keep my custom name, so Justicar. Yes, create it, and then you have to hit continue on it.
I wasn't far off. In any case, rats and goblins won't give you any trouble.
After the sewers, then what?
You must get the amulet to Joffrey. Take no chances, but proceed to Wayne Priory immediately. Got it?
I understand.
Good. The Emperor's trust was well placed.
What about you? What will you do?
I'll stay here to guard the Emperor's body and make sure no one follows you. You'd better get moving. May Talos guide you. By the way, thanks for recovering my comrades' swords. I'll see that they are given a place of honor in the halls of the Blades.
So right there, he takes Reynault and Glenroy's katanas, so you can't use them, which is a little rough. If you want to start the game with the sword, like I mentioned, you can have Boris fight until his weapon breaks, at which point he will put it in his inventory, and then at this point in the game, you could come over here and pickpocket it from him. But that takes a long time, and it can glitch out your game with all of the bodies that appear, and it's just a hassle. And we're not going for long swords anyway, so we are going to continue. So another benefit that you get for picking magic skills right at the magic skills right at the top is that you get these additional spells for picking them. So because we picked restoration, we got absorb health. Because we picked alteration, we got open very easy lock and protect. And then because we picked destruction, we got shocking touch and cold touch. So this is going to be our new damage dealing spell. I'm going to put this on 3 though, because it's nice to have a ranged option, which flare is. But yeah, this just absolutely destroys. It is touch range, so you can't do it at a distance, but very nice. I don't care for absorb health, so cold touch does 15 points of frost damage. Absorb health only does 5, and so you deal 5 damage and you heal 5. The problem with this is, especially if you're intent on playing on a higher difficulty, that is modified by the difficulty level. So if you are dealing 6 times less damage, then you're going to be dealing 1 point of damage and healing 1 point of damage, because you heal as much as you deal. So it just becomes worse and worse as you get higher in the difficulty levels. If you want to play on Novice and do 6 times damage to the enemy, then this becomes a really good spell. But on Novice you can do anything. So it is not a good metric to measure things by how effective they are on Novice. I just like to measure things by how effective they are on Adept, because that is the base. Okay, we got Mr. Rat. Oh, I guess this one only had... Oh, well, our blade skill is quite a bit more. Okay, we're not taking any more cheese wheels. We are already loaded down to the 9 with cheese wheels. So, because we have increased blade, our iron dagger does 2 damage now. Wow. Alright. So, that tiny little increase early on, I mean, we basically doubled our damage from what we were doing, which is very nice in the early game. We got another rat. Okay, I don't know why I took those. Told myself I wasn't taking those. We got another goblin right here. Oh, got some garlic and a silver nugget. Not bad, sir. Oh. There is a little bit of a delay when you switch the spells, I've noticed. So I'm on Cold Touch right now. If I switch quickly over to Heal and then cast immediately, it'll still cast Cold Touch. Okay, maybe I'm just seeing things. I feel like that's how it usually feels when I'm actually playing the game, but game likes to prove me a fool when I say things sometimes. Friendly little sewer rat. This guy won't attack you, but if he didn't want to be attacked, he shouldn't be made of XP. Alright. Good night, sweet prince. And let us get out into the wide world of Cyrodiil. So, if you want to just get into the game on a new character, I recommend making a save right here, because you can literally edit everything from your character appearance all the way to your class and everything in between. So that is something that you can do, but I think I already have a save. I will just make another save just because it's good practice, and we'll get out of here. Alright, here we are. In the wide world. Let me take off that helmet so that we can see our girl. There we are. Doesn't it look beautiful? We need to get some pants. We definitely need to get some armored boots and greaves. Oh, we have greaves. We need iron boots. So we will go ahead and end off there, guys, and next time we will get into the game proper, and we're not just in the tutorial. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.